Okay, out here today with the Charter Arms Professional 32 H&R Mag. This is my second one of these. Not because I love it so much I had to buy two, but because the first one I had and did two videos on had several problems. One, the grips would not tighten and kept coming loose, and trying to tighten the screw just didn't work. Two, when I pushed the cylinder back into the frame, it would actually push through the frame a little too far, which would lock up the gun until you had manually pushed the cylinder back into the frame to get it to go. And finally, the sight appears to be a little bit misaligned, which it appears to be a little bit misaligned on this one as well. Maybe that's just how Charter does things. The little release here is pretty tough, just like it was on the other one. I did not spend a lot of time working on the action on this one, so we'll see how this one goes. I have 7 rounds of 32 H&R Mag. I have 7 rounds of 32 Smith & Wesson Long round nose, 7 rounds of 32 Smith & Wesson Long wad cutters, and then finally, going to run 7 rounds of 32 ACP, and we'll see how we do. We're going to do single action and double action, because on the second video, on the initial revolver, I found that I was better in double action than I was in single, which doesn't make any sense. But the point of aim was more true. It was just really strange. So I'm going to start out shooting at the top left box, and we'll do double action. That was me. All right, that was 7 rounds of 32 H&R Mag double action. Recoil is exactly what you would expect from a 32. It is very mild. I would say probably less than what you would feel in a 38 Special. Results-wise, you can kind of see up there on the target. One of those I pulled, the first one I think, or second one. I pulled this one for sure. I probably pulled this one a little bit too. 5 of them are all right here. For me, that's pretty good. I'm pretty pleased with that as a result. So, I am going to use this corner as my point of aim right here, where this little dark line is, and we'll see how I do with single action. Last time when I was shooting single action, it pushed stuff to the side, to the left, by several inches. So we'll see. I don't think the other one was quite as accurate with the double action. It was much better in double action and true to the point of aim. So if this is not true to the point of aim, maybe that's just a Charter thing for single action for some reason, which doesn't make any sense to me. So single action, top of that corner. All right, and I tend to give the phone a minute to kind of recover. For some reason, when I'm shooting, the phone doesn't like to pick up audio right away. I don't know what that is. But the 7 rounds in a group, about what this was, not bad. Certainly much better than the first Charter I had. The first Charter would have put all of these over here. And so just the fact that it's pretty much right where I was aiming right here. And, you know, I'll certainly take the blame for the guys that are down here a little bit, but not terrible. Also, point of impact, we're hitting a little bit low. I was shooting at the center of the box, and I was hitting low. So could that be me? Possibly, but I'm going to guess that with that ammunition at this very short distance, we're only about 10, 12 feet away, you know, I'm thinking that it just hits just a little bit low there. So now we're going to move on to the 32 long round nose, and we'll shoot here at the middle, and we'll see how we do with that double action. And if I'd been really clever, I would have brought the ammunition with me, and I would have already had the gun loaded as I walked back. Maybe next time. All right, double action, top right, red box. Ah, that was definitely me. All right, you do have to spin the cylinder when you are dropping empties. If you just try to drop empties, the wood grip here will not allow it. It's just too big. All right, so here, this one's all me. That's all my fault. This is really where we're probably getting in terms of hits, with the point of aim being right here where I actually did get a hit. So chances are good I pulled this one up a little bit. But this was my point of aim, and here's where my hits were, by and large, 4 of my hits. And so that kind of tells you that, yeah, it shoots a little low at this very close distance. And, you know, it's probably shooting maybe a little bit lower, or just about the same, I guess. Maybe a little bit lower. With the longs, which are the lead round nose, than it did with the H&R mags. So we'll see how we do in single action, and I'll shoot at, well, since I hit this one here, I'm going to shoot at this corner right here, and we'll see how we do in single action. Because again, first gun I had, single action, it pulled everything considerably. I must have pulled that one. That went way low. Alrighty, so I got one of those essentially at the point of aim, and the other ones came in a little bit lower. The ones I did not shank off to one side. So I'm going to load up the 32 wad cutters. We'll see how they do. So the first one came down here into this group. That was definitely me. I'm thinking this is probably more, you know, what you can expect, which is at least in the same line. You know, I was aiming here, and I put 3, 1, 2, 3 right here. This one I think I pulled a little bit to the left. I must have pulled those down. This one just came down just a little less. So, you know, is it grouping better than the last charter I had? Yes, quite a bit better. But let's see how the wad cutters do. In the other video, you can see the wad cutters when I shot. It was over here. It was like an orange circle or something. But I had one, and then like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It was like almost a V. But you know, with the wad cutters, which are supposed to be more accurate, I was actually far less accurate than with anything else. So double action, and we'll go for the bottom left little red square there. Okay, I'm gonna grab 7 more. All right, well, these these four here are probably more representative of what the gun is capable of. You know, I was obviously bringing 3 of them down a little bit lower. So double action wise, you know, this is probably what a much better shooter is capable of doing as opposed to just what I managed. So I'm going to try to do the next 7 single action right here at that top corner, and we will see how we do. That did not sound right. So let me stop there. Yeah, I got like a puff sound instead of a bang. Not that it would have been a very loud bang, but I didn't get a bang at all. So let me stop there, and I want to be able to check into the cylinder, or into the barrel. I am seeing that the barrel is clear. Just being paranoid, I don't want to be having my barrel explode on me. So it did go ahead and come through. I don't know if it'll show, if I can get the light to hit it right. Maybe up here in the blue. No. I just had a weird sound, so, you know, stop and check and make sure. And so I don't know if it picks up, but I can see, let me get that last spent case out. I can see that there is nothing obstructing the bore. So we're good to go on that. There is the 1 round left. I'll single action him. Cylinder does go clockwise. There we go. That was a much more normal sound. I don't know what happened with the puff. I'm going to guess it was just a weak round, something kind of like that. Now, if I see, it looks like I have exactly 1 round left in the box, so I'm going to fire that as well, especially since I don't know what happened with that really sad sounding round. There we go. Alrighty, so... All right, going to load up some 32 ACP. This is either 7 or 8 rounds. I didn't see where that little weak round went. I don't know if it did much more than clear the barrel. It did at least clear the barrel, so that's good. That's certainly not the gun's fault. That would be the ammunition. And God knows how long the ammunition has been sitting on the shelf, waiting to be bought. You know, 32 wad cutter, probably not something that people are clamoring to buy. So I'm going to try here. I'm going to do the double action with the 32 auto. We'll see how it goes. We'll see if we get 7 reliable ignitions. I've had, with the other charter, I had some issues getting rounds to fire. So we'll see if that's the case here. All right, all 7 fired, all 7 extracted. I've got 7 rounds sitting here that I took out of my Kel-Tec earlier. So these are actually defense loads. That I'll load up next. So it did fire all 7 rounds. I kept almost all of them in the little square there, which is, you know, about 2 inches by 2 inches. Dang, I was hoping to keep that from sliding back and forth. Maybe not. This one, you know, whether it's on me or whether it's just that the gun isn't designed for the 32 ACP, you know, I'm not sure. I can tell you that the 32 ACP projectile is a little bit smaller than the 32 H&R 32 longs. So I'm going to try that bottom right square single action, and we'll see if we do any better. Plus, we'll see if we continue to get reliable ignition on these 32 ACP rounds. So I kind of downplayed the accuracy of the 32 ACP, and it put together a group about as good as I had with the 32 longs. Not quite as good as that, but, you know, for taking a gun out to the range and shooting it, the 32 ACP, as long as the ignition is reliable, which it may not be. Lucky Gunner has a really good video on 32 ACP and using it in a 32 H&R. Why, you know, it's not necessarily the greatest idea. One of the biggest things is that the case, the rim is, and let me see if I can show this, the rim of the 32, which I have an empty 32 right here, and the 32 ACP, and I'm just trying to see if I can make that clear, or clear enough. The 32 ACP is just a tiny bit thinner, and because it's thinner, when it's in the, when the 32 ACP is in the gun, and let me just go ahead and fire this little guy, double action. There we go. When the 32 ACP is in the gun, let me advance him. All right, so, and actually, let me grab a 32 long as well, and I'll stick him in here. So I've got 2 gold-colored or brass-colored 32 longs, and then I have the single color, and these are all fired cases of the 32 ACP. And hopefully you can see that the rim of the 32 long is not coming out of the cylinder, but the rim of the 32 auto, you can kind of see, let me see if I can give him a little, yeah. So there's a lot of play to him, so he's kind of bouncing up and down a little bit, versus the 32 long, which does not move at all. So just because it has that extra bit of wiggle room, it may be sitting forward in the cylinder, so when the hammer hits the firing pin and the pin tries to go through, the 32 ACP may be too far forward. Maybe you get a primer strike that isn't hard enough to fire the round. So let me get rid of these empties. There we go. And talk about one more thing. I bought this gun through my local gun store. Biggest gun store here in southern New Mexico. And so I started having problems with the grips, with the cylinder, and the sight, which is still the same. Although you can kind of see the sight's not the problem. I mean, you know, blame me more than the sight. So I took it back to the store, and, well, actually, I asked him about it. So, you know, I asked if he could tighten the grips, and then, you know, I wasn't as worried about the cylinder piece just because it's more of a range toy. But, you know, he looked at it and he was like, look, no, this needs to go back. So he had gotten it through Davidson's. Now, Davidson's costs, you know, 20, 30 bucks extra, something like that on a gun. I believe I took this to him on a Monday. By Thursday, I had this gun in my hand. So the first gun, he called up Davidson's and said, hey, gun's got a problem. They gave him a shipping label. He put it in the mail on Tuesday. While that gun was going back, was going back to the distributor, Davidson's had one in the mail coming to the store. So, you know, the 20, 30 extra bucks for me, that really paid off. You know, I didn't have to wait a week, 2 weeks, whatever, to get a gun that I'd already paid for. And so, you know, kudos to them. It does cost a little more, but it is something worth considering when you're buying a gun if you have that Davidson's thing. And at my local gun store, he kind of has like a Davidson's tag or something. I don't know if that's every gun store. If you see that, you can kind of be rest assured that if there's a problem, Davidson's is just going to take care of it. And then you don't have to worry about, oh, it's got to go back to Ruger. In fact, this was not a Davidson's gun. This was my Ruger SP101. When I first bought it, it had an issue where essentially two of the chambers rather in the cylinder wouldn't fire ever. And what happened was that essentially Ruger, I guess, had drilled too deeply into the cylinder, so the rounds, you know, sat too far in, so the firing pin couldn't reach the, couldn't hit the rim. had to go back to Ruger. It was gone for, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 weeks, whatever it was. And then they sent it back. Now, Ruger did take care of it. And I'm not bashing Ruger. I mean, anybody can make a lemon. But I had to wait. Whereas with the Charter, you know, because of Davidson's, with the Charter, yeah, I had it back with 3 days, essentially. I had a gun. Now, it's not the same gun, and I'm actually happy with that because the results I got today were better than the results on the previous 2 videos. So, you know, it's just something to consider. If you're there at a gun store and you've got something that's a Davidson's, you know, it may be worth it to you to buy it. I believe it's a lifetime warranty on whatever gun you buy. So, anyway, I'm much happier with this second Charter H&R. The first one, there was very little professional about it, I thought. This one is much better. The finish is better. The first one, I had some scratches here, and I had some of the nitrite coating paint, whatever they're, nitrite, yeah, it's nitrite coating, I think is what they call it, wasn't really done along the trigger guard here on the edge. So, you know, this one looks better. It shoots better. It's not falling apart. You know, the cylinder does not push through too far. Yes, the little sight is canted a little bit, or seems to me to be canted a little bit off to the left. Didn't cause accuracy problems. I would say those are more me than it. So I would be much more comfortable recommending this 32 than professional than the last 32 professional I had. You know, your mileage may vary if you know, are concerned, but you want to get a gun you can shoot 32 auto, a revolver you can shoot 32 auto. You may, you know, consider giving Charter a try. The Davidson's thing really worked out for me. You might want to look at that as well. I did once email Charter and asked if they would do a 32 auto revolver, and they actually called me to laugh at me instead of, you know, writing an email. Ha ha ha. I've asked Smith, I've asked Ruger, I think I asked Henry, since they started making revolvers. Nobody replies. Charter at least picked up the phone. You know, now granted, it wasn't the answer I wanted, but still, they at least called. So, you know, it is a made in America gun, so there's that too. Anyway, this is the Charter Arms Professional 32 H&R Mag.